Let's pray. Father God, Lord, we're just so grateful that we're here tonight again. We have just come together as men, Lord, and utilize this platform for good, Lord. We just ask that you're able to allow us to share what it is with the world that you want us to share, and that to speak truth, Lord. We just we're so thankful for this opportunity. We pray this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Discipline and Legacy. We're at episode 11 now. I got my boy Nick Messina here, local boy, Port St. Lucie.
Yes.
It's so crazy to actually meet somebody else who's from here, because sometimes
Very rare.
Yeah, you're in a room with people and you're like the one guy that's actually from here, born and raised. So
Yeah.
we linked up. I've been following you for a while. We linked up last week on another podcast that you invited me to, and dude, you got an awesome story. You know, we talked in the parking lot for a while, and I wanted to get you on here and kind of share it with the world, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you having on.
Yeah.
I think everything you're doing is great, and I love how we start out all these podcasts with prayer. So it's awesome. It's what everybody needs. They need to involve it more in their life, not just on Sundays.
Yeah.
But I think it's fantastic. I look forward to chatting it up.
Yeah, man. So obviously, Discipline and Legacy is folks that are doing well in their life. I think everybody who's done well in their life, or really anybody in life, has gone through some sort of adversity and had to implement like some sort of discipline into their life. So that's where the discipline comes in Discipline and Legacy. So I want to go ahead and hear from you, like a little bit of your childhood and kind of how you grew up and to where you're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. So born and raised in Port St. Lucie. Not too many people can say that. Some people look at me like, how did you come out of Port St. Lucie Hospital? Are you okay? Is there anything wrong with you? Everything went smooth.
Yeah, they say like Lawnwood, like extra legs. And
my brother was born in Miami. My other brother was born in West Palm, and then I get Port St. Lucie. So when people say, "Where are you from?" and I say Port St. Lucie, they're like, "Oh." So I had a great childhood. I have two brothers, and I have two stepbrothers and one stepsister. So we grew up with 6 people in the household. So
Big
it was
family.
a great thing. My parents are from the Treasure Coast. Grew up here, working here. And so it's a fantastic time. But yeah, I think that legacy and discipline is a great topic to talk about. For me personally, I went through many different career paths, and I've kind of went through the entrepreneurship journey, and being able to be disciplined when no one's watching is very hard.
Yeah.
And you can either choose to grow up really, really quickly, or you can choose to stay in the same place. So
Yeah.
I chose, being a self-employed person, to kind of work on myself, be disciplined. My wife knows when I'm at home and I try to get in my corner, I have to stay hyper-focused. I have my own discipline. Like I do little things. I keep my shoes on when I work, when I'm on Zooms. Like, I like to
just like wearing your underwear with shoes on, like from.
Yeah, I actually have to be like full outfits, like no matter what. I know that people that do the underwear stuff during the Zoom days, and I'm like, I commend you, but mentally I do a lot of things. Like I listen to a lot of Tony Robinson about like, when you wake up. My wife hates it. I jump right out of the bed, and Tony Robinson always talks about, as soon as you wake up, don't look at your phone, don't look at anything.
Yeah.
You hop out of bed, you get moving, you get focused, and you lock in. And I kind of stick to like a lot of disciplined ways.
Yeah. It's habits.
Yeah, habits. You create these habits, and you always talk about breaking bad habits. I have plenty of bad habits, just like everybody else. But we learn different roadblocks in life to kind of bring you to certain parts.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And I can identify exactly with that, because I learned that a while ago. Somebody said, wait 30 minutes before you look at your phone.
Yeah.
Obviously, the phone is the alarm whenever I actually get up with the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
But, I do but before I put my feet on the floor, I just turn my will and my life over to God. It's like it's a third step thing from working the steps. But, and sometimes I forget, but, I'm not perfect. I don't do everything, but exactly the same exact thing. And sometimes if I don't, like, let's say it's a weekend, if I don't start my day that way, I feel like a little bit off.
Yeah.
But you could do it. You could start over at any time. Even if you miss it at 5 a.m, you can do it at 9 or whatever time you wake up. But
yeah, the biggest discipline for me that, obviously, my wife has always pushed me on is just kind of putting your phone on airplane mode at nighttime and kind of clocking out. I think it's sometimes when you are, an entrepreneur, or you were an entrepreneur, it's hard to turn off the clock. To me, I'm like, I always want to work. I always want to do things. I always think everybody should answer the phone.
Right.
So I know you could probably relate to that.
Definitely.
But I think that's the biggest thing that I'm personally working on. I like to be transparent. Like I think the number one thing that I'm working on is just kind of clocking out when you need to and spending that time.
It's balance, man.
It's coming a lot easier because I just have a 3-month-old. So it's coming a lot easier.
Awesome.
So you're cherishing every single moment. But I know there's a lot of things that, you want to talk about as far as the road path. And if you want me to get into that stuff, I can kind of talk about that stuff.
So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I know we were talking a long time, and I think it's really great being able to talk to certain people that have been through other, things in life too that kind of relate. It could be totally different topics. And some stuff I didn't really share with you that I'll kind of share on this podcast just because I feel like it is something that you should talk about. 'Cause the whole thing of where, my recent thing that, kind of happened to me, where it kind of led me to being more open and receptive to way things happen to me in life comes from something that previously happened. So when I was 16, unfortunately, I had my stepbrother pass away. Mm-hmm. I was in high school. I was probably maybe a junior in high school or a sophomore in high school. And my stepbrother passed away, unfortunately. And that kind of like
Just out of the blue.
Out of the blue, woke up in the middle of the night, hearing parents scream. It's something that's very traumatic. And at the time, when you're going through all these different things, you're looking at somebody to blame when you don't really know it.
Right.
And the person I chose to blame was God. And I went through this dark thing of like, why would you do this? And I even had resentment about, because we did the funeral at the church we were going to. And I got a bad sense of memory from that. And that led me to, so many different things of just, kind of pushing God away. And, talk with you about how you were so accepted to it. It was like, I feel like it took me a long time to really kind of bring this back. And I think other people do that too. They have stuff that goes on in their life and they're like, well, they're looking for somebody to blame. And the only person they can blame is, somebody that's, the almighty, the powerful.
Yeah.
And it's not the correct way.
I think it comes from like not understanding, because I can identify with that same feeling. And the thing is, like with God is like sometimes a lot of folks are like, well, why would he allow this to happen if he's God? Why would he allow this to happen to us? Why, but you don't understand the reasoning behind it. And it's probably, we never will, but God's plan and purpose is perfect.
I think it was my knowledge too of, not fully diversing myself into the Bible and understanding the means of it and, why he puts certain people through different things. I heard from many different people and it's kind of like this same repetitive thing. It was like God would never put you through something you weren't ready for. And, in my head,
or he wouldn't put something in front of you if he didn't know that you could get to the other side.
Yeah. And to me, I was like, well, that's not fair, this and that. It was kind of like this constant game. And that dragged all the way through high school, a lot of, self-doubt, stuff like that. And this is like me trying to figure out my career and stuff like that. And I kind of grew into multiple different things. So I got out of high school, I got into videography. I was doing that. I was working at a hospital, trying to go for a chiropractic degree. And then I changed it to a marketing degree. And kind of this spinning cycle of like, where do I go in life? And to me, when looking back at this now, I'm like, this is all connected.
Yeah.
I was spinning on a cycle because I wasn't really realizing what was in front of me. And, it's great that, I even asked you like, hey, when do you guys do the men groups and stuff like that? Because now I'm just like, all these opportunities about being around the right people is so important. And I underestimated that. I was around a lot of people that weren't doing the right things. I'm not going to talk about all those different things, but they were not where I wanted to go, but I was allowing them to be around me.
Yeah.
And people talk about, the 5 people you hang around with, you're going to be like.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, and some people are like, well, I can't leave them. They're my childhood friends and this and that. But I'm like, you're bringing themselves down. So this is the thing about Portion and Lucie. Portion and Lucie, there's a lot of people that don't elevate in life because of a lot of different reasons, whether there's job opportunities, whether there's, culture, whether there's people they hang around with, and they do a lot of this like pity game. And I started to hang around a lot of people that obviously had an abundance of a mindset. And I started to scale myself. And I talked to you about, John Maxwell's law of the lid.
Yes.
You have a grasshopper in a jar and he keeps hitting his head. Eventually he's going to stop jumping. Even though this grasshopper can jump 20 feet, he's going to stop jumping and his belief level is going to go down. And I felt like without God, my belief level went extremely down.
Yeah.
And I thought, 30, 40 grand a year was all right. I just wanted to make it by. So fast forward.
The mediocre lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah. I know you could probably add on to this.
100%. I was there, yeah. So.
Yeah, it's incredible. I know we talked about all these different things, and I want you to talk about all the different things. But
go ahead.
It went from this, law of the lid to me actually having my first ever experience. I got into a business called network marketing.
Yep.
Network marketing is something that, people succeed if they choose to develop themselves. This is how it works. You basically need to develop a lot of skill sets for yourself. You can be paid as a CEO, but you need to develop the skills as a CEO.
Yeah.
No one's going to teach you those skills. People can guide you, but it's up to you to do those things.
Then do the work.
Do the work and, be able to develop. Same thing with your business. You had to, grow yourself into a position, and obviously you're in the position you're in because you developed your skills. You didn't have no one forcing you to make those skills. Yes, you create value for yourself. So I created those skills. I got into network marketing, had a lot of success. And once I had a success, I was like, okay, what else am I missing? And I'm missing, a family, and I'm missing the purpose of God.
Wow.
And got back into it. I found, first my wife that helped me heal. It helped me learn different values in life. I didn't have the best relationship with my dad. Nothing, he was a bad dad or anything like that. But she taught me values, and we started to go to church, and we started to have an abundance of different things.
She got you into church.
She did.
Okay.
She got me back into the church and started to help me, I would say, not hold on to so many burdens. So,
yeah.
And I think it's great. I know you talked about your wife's story, and that's amazing, but it's underestimated how much a partner can do for your life.
That's what he created us for.
Yeah.
Was to have a partner. So
yeah. I know you talk about your story with your wife, and I think that's incredible. But the way my wife has helped me is, kind of created that. So moving on to this, the main thing that I was going to kind of share with you, I moved on. I had a successful career, started a family, I got married, and everything was amazing. And then 6 months later, I had a lot of back pain. I moved back to Parsons, Lucie. We moved to Orlando for about 2 years to kind of get away for a little bit. Moved back. The day I moved back, I had a lot of back pain, and I thought maybe, I tore a disc or something like that. Went to the hospital. They're like, "Oh, you just want pain medication. Send me home." 2 days later, I go back, and the doctor's like, "There's something not right. I need you to stay." So we had an MRI. He's like, "Hey, I want you to do a full MRI of your entire body." I'm like, why am I going to get charged for an MRI of my head? Like, I don't want this stuff, I went in, got the MRI of my head. I was in so much pain because if you ever got an MRI, you're laying on this bed.
Oh, yeah. Tiny little, yeah.
They strap your head in. You're like, what is going on? It's so loud. They're like, hey, here's some music. You cannot hear the music, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't even know why they give you headphones. But so I do the MRI of the head. He was like, hey, doc, I can't do the rest of this. You want me to sit here for another 2 hours and need pain medications? So he goes back to the room. Nurse comes in. He's like, yeah, the doctor wants to talk to you. They've seen something. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, you're supposed to do my back.
Right. My back's hurting.
My back's hurting. Like, what could you possibly see on my head? And I'm like, well, maybe like my neck's off and it's hurting my back. Right. Doctor walks in. I just told my wife, you can go. 10 minutes before that.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm sitting there. And doctor comes in and goes, hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, Mr. Messina, but you have MS. I looked right at him and dead in the eyes, and I said, no, I don't. I was like, no, I don't. I was like, that's
disbelief.
I was like, that's not it's not curable. And he goes, I'm sorry to tell you this, you do have multiple sclerosis. I need you to do the rest of your MRIs. Immediately called my stepdad. He's a doctor, and I was like, you got to talk to this guy. This guy's telling me I have brain disease. And it didn't hit me until my stepdad was like, oh shit, after he said it on the phone.
Right.
He's on speaker. And I felt like everything just kind of crashed in. You're like, what the heck just happened?
You immediate disbelief, immediate like, no, get out of here, to like it setting in. And then, you know, like I couldn't even put myself in your shoes. Like,
Yeah, it was a weird thing. And then you obviously have to finish this MRI, and I get all the results back, and I have brain lesions on my brain, my neck, and my back. It progressed later in the day where I couldn't walk. My hands, I couldn't close my hands.
all at this moment in time, like it had progressed that much.
I actually had some little symptoms when I was on my honeymoon. My feet were completely numb for the entire trip, and we thought just my vitamin D was low, because I got some blood work done. And it progressed where I couldn't even walk, at all.
Wow.
And
So you caught it at the right time.
I caught it. I caught it because I woke up in the middle of the night, just like, why is my legs just burning? Like,
Right.
And I was like, what is this going on? But I'll tell you how fast this kicked in, right? And this is the whole reason I just said that, the other story that I'm about to share with you. I did something very, very wrong. And I pushed God away the first time.
Right.
And some people are like, well, why would you post this stuff on social media? And I posted it like 3 days later. And I said, I told my wife, I said, last time I did this, I shut everybody out. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't even, like when my brother passed away, I didn't even want to go to my house for like 2 weeks. I stayed with friends and everybody you can possibly think of.
You didn't want to face it.
Didn't want to face it. And I told myself, and I told my wife, because my wife came right back in. She's like, what can we do right now? And I know I looked at my family, and they're like, what can we do right now?
Yeah.
And I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to push away God this time. I'm not going to blame him for what's going on. And, I don't have a lot of followers. I have like 9,000, but I got 600 plus messages. I legit of just prayers coming in. Constant people, things like my wife was getting overwhelmed. She didn't even post it. She got overwhelmed because everybody's sending her, hey, try this remedy, try this, things, do this diet, do this stuff. And, it's crazy because it was like, it was, okay, let me collect myself. Let me go through it.
Right.
Entire time in the hospital, like, I'm like, hey, this is going to be okay. This is going to be where it's at. And, we
Did you pray while you were in the hospital?
Many times, sometimes you don't know really what to pray for. You're like, I told God, I was like, I don't want you, I don't want to ask for everything. Sometimes people pray when the one thing is like, it's kind of, I'm still struggling with is like, you don't want to pray always when it's a bad time. So
always.
I asked him for a couple different things. I didn't ask him in the beginning to heal me. I said, God, give me strength, give me calmness, and help me have a good vision.
Yeah.
And I also later on asked for support, and because I wanted those things right then and there.
Yeah.
And I feel like I tackled this very well. It was a slow process. Like the time I got my treatment and got a.
How long ago was this?
This was 2024.
Okay.
So it is. I'm coming up. I go for my treatment in like about 3 weeks right now. I do it every 6 months. I do a IV infusion for about 6-7 hours. Mm-hmm. And just happened, my brother's in pharmaceutical research, and he put it in the chat. He's like, which medicine is the best medicine? With about 100 of doctors from around the world. And, they were like, hey, go with this medicine called Crevice. And I got approved by my insurance. It's about $150,000 every 6 months.
Jesus.
So they approved me right away. That's another thing you got to pray for. But it's interesting because, you look at all the different moments in your life. You're like, hey, I've been through these hurdles. I'm not going to have anything else bad happen to me. Or maybe I just hit my highest peak of my life. What kind of challenges you're going to go through. And I think it's great connecting with you because like you went through a lot of big time challenges, and my followers don't know about it. So I want you to talk for a minute. Talk about it.
No, listen, man. There's no coincidences at all because the same exact thing. For whatever reason, like I connected through your wife because I knew someone that she followed, and like I was like, this girl's killing it. And then like I saw you posting, or maybe she did, about the Port St. Lucie soccer league thing, and I'm like, whoa, this guy's got collecting toys for the kids in the community. Like, this is the type of guy I need to connect with, because if we're not pouring into the next generation, like you're a dying, that's what we need to be doing is talking to our kids, talking to the next generation, trying to bring these kids up so that they don't have to go through what we went through or what I went through. I mean, it wasn't like it was a horrible childhood, but
power of social media for connections. You can go through and you can find like-minded people. I mean, it's hard before social media to even find people to, add to your circle and connect with and, be on the same page with. But I think it's interesting, obviously I didn't know everything before we met, and then you were telling me certain things you went through and the certain people, and I was like, well, he has a great supporting wife too, and he's very
100%.
God focused, and he's like, hey, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of these different things. I mean, I barely drink, I drink maybe at work events,
Right.
but I'm the type of person, everybody can make fun of me, I leave like my drink still full. So
Yeah.
I personally
I
like
still
to be
have
focused.
just as much fun. Like we go to the club and stuff, and I see all these people being goofy and stupid, and I'm like, I tell people like I get to experience life.
Yeah.
Because I'm truly experiencing it. I'm not numbing anything. I'm not like I feel good about. I'm happy with who I am, so I don't need to cover it up. I always called drinking was like a temporary solution to an ongoing problem. Like it was fun in the beginning, but it turned into like a must.
So why don't we talk about this? So like, why do you think a lot of people, don't like having fun without those things?
Habits. Like even whenever like when I was a kid, I'm like, man, let's go watch the sunrise. Let's go watch the sunrise on weed. And it's like, just like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, whoa, it would be so cool to go do that high, or you know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah.
But there ain't no difference other than that you've got a minor mood altering substance in your body. Whatever, like I got nothing against anybody that does that. Like I could go smoke weed or drink or do whatever I wanted right now. I just choose not to. Like,
yeah, I choose not to too. I haven't done that stuff since high school, and it's crazy because like you just grow out of habits. Like I personally don't like not feeling 100%. I'm a very aware person, and I don't like putting myself in situations, especially if you have a family. You're out with them. I'm like, I don't want to put you guys in a situation that's gonna, jeopardize anything. I would just rather just not even do it. Whether I have a good time or not, I'm thinking about all the other emotions, and I'm like, I'm so grateful for the position I'm in, so I don't even want to jeopardize that stuff.
well, I look at it too like this. Like when you get to a point in your life where like, because that is most people's like goal. Like God created us to have a companion, to create life. Like the man and a woman are built certain ways for something to happen, and babies are supposed to be made. So like you're supposed to have that family. You're supposed to be alone and at home hanging out like with your family. Like no amount of money or experience can overpower like just spending time with your family, making memories with your family and hanging out with them. So like the bar and the club scene, like I go there and I just don't even feel like I don't, not that I don't belong there, but just like I don't feel at home there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bed early and all that stuff that goes with it.
Occasionally, if you're a big group, you're celebrating, okay, great. You're going to do there, listen to some good music and stuff like that. I think that I just turned 30 last year, September. Yep. And, it kind of hit me, everything.
You're over the hill now, right?
Yeah. It's only downhill from here. But, they say everybody has those celebrations, and then I think my family was telling me, the one thing is when
I'll be 40 this year.
40 this year.
Jesus.
So hey, listen. But it kind of all hit me like last week. I'm like, wow, I'm 30, and I was reading all those articles. Like the average life expectancy of somebody with MS is 60 to 65. And I thought about it. I was like, wow, like I'm really halfway through my life. Obviously, things can change, and we're obviously creating a lot of different things to suppress it.
Right.
There's not any cures for it. We don't even know if these things are going to be expanding the life expectancy or not. We have to wait to kind of see how these things play out. But I got a new sense of purpose the last like week and a half. I was like, I'm looking at my daughter, and I'm like, I want to see her have kids one day.
Yeah.
And I want to see my family grow up, and I want to be able to travel the world with my wife. And I think a lot of people are like, well, you work a 9 to 5 to 65, and it's something that they try to expend life. I like to push everything forward.
Right.
I'm trying to capture all the different things I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to put my family in a situation where I can grow. And I obviously do have quite a few different things that I'm involved in now. Right. But one of the things I wanted to do was a charity foundation. So our charity foundation is called Character Through Sports. We don't really need donations, so I'm not trying to promote donations or nothing like that. But our whole foundation.
But if you want to donate, we're not going to turn it down.
You can donate directly to the cause. You don't even have to donate to me.
Right.
But our foundation's all about building foundational skills through sports. So you can relate to that. I mean, foundational skills are so hard, and great discipline. And
well, that's something that the only thing that someone could donate is time, right? Somebody who has expertise in that area to where we could come out and pour into these kids, man.
Yeah. So we did an event on December 21st in Port St. Lucie. I did this about 2.5 years ago. I got 1,300 toys, but I only had about 100 kids.
Okay.
So I was like, I was moving back to Port St. Lucie, and I was like, I really want to do it good this year. So I partnered with the city. I went through all their loopholes to get approval. I had to present in front of the board. Got approval. So I thought that was fantastic.
That's awesome, man. It took a lot of guts. A lot of people don't realize what that takes to go through that journey, all the things you got to do, but
yeah, I know, and it's like you have to go through hoops
for somebody else, to be outside of yourself, serve others. So that's awesome.
And I told them, I was like, I want zero donation from the city. I just want you guys to promote it. I partnered with the commissioner's office. Shout out to Commissioner Fowler. She really helped us get the word out there. And next year, the whole commissioner office wants to partner with us. So
awesome. Yeah, I want to be involved somehow too, for sure.
Yeah, and the whole thing about it, everybody's like, why'd you do it like 3 days, 4 days before Christmas? The kids that come to that are not traveling for Christmas.
Yeah.
The kids are coming to that. And I've had families come up to me, and I had a husband and wife come up to me, and they said, hey, we lost everything 3 days ago. Everything. And I was like, take as much toys as you need. Like we give the toys out where the kids can celebrate it there. We partnered with the new soccer team that came out. They built the stadium. They brought over 600 soccer balls.
Wow.
So we actually gave out to 600 to 650 kids came out to our event over the course of about 5 hours. And we gave about 1,200 toys. I had about another 1,000 that we're actually delivering this week to local schools in Fort Pierce to give out all those toys. But our goal for the foundation is to sponsor kids that can't afford to be in leagues, get the leagues up, and kind of help out with that. But I think it just gives you so much recharge. So I encourage anybody, if they want to start a foundation, they want to give back in some kind of ways, even if it's a local church or something like that, it really recharges you. I'm a big believer in like doing things that recharges you, helps. So many people are like, why can't I feel my full self? And I can't give myself to other people. You feel drained all the time. You got to have yourself in a position to get recharged, so that way you can pour into other people. If you're having conversations with your wife and you're frustrated on every single little thing that's going on, and you can't be there for her or your kids or your friends or anything like that, you got to take care of yourself to be able to give yourself to other people. You got to be recharged enough to give yourself to value.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's kind of the whole.
So
spiel.
that's awesome, man. Definitely hit the nail on the head with just being of service, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing that you touched on it a lot. Like, so there's you can have everything in the entire world, but something's missing, right? You have that void. You have that spiritual void, that something is missing in your gut, and obviously just being involved and I mean, for me, like turning my life over to God was the missing piece, and as you grow and you become successful or more than just worrying about your paycheck every week, just to, like I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but like my bills are paid, I got food on the table, like, so once you get to that point where your needs are met, like you want to help others' needs be met. And it's inevitable, I think, especially if you have a Christian heart or want to be Christ-like. So the fact that you took that and ran with it is awesome. And obviously I know you said you didn't want to promote it, but like, I think would be people that were listening to learn how to be able to take advantage of that as well, right? If there's somebody that has some kids that they want to get into leagues, because
absolutely, you can submit a form. Would definitely go in. We just got some kids sponsored for some local leagues around the area. I was talking with the city. Leagues are down about 30%, and I don't believe it's because not everybody can be there. I think some people just can't afford it.
Yeah.
I think all the bills are tight. No matter what your political views are, it's a tough time. No matter what's going on, we're in an area, especially in Port St. Lucie, where all of the bills got higher, but the incomes are all staying the same.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that I've had conversations with the city about, and they're trying to do some different things to change those things. But I think that you still gotta figure out a way to involve your kids in so many different things. I think in baseball, you can go 3 for 10 and you can still be a great baseball player or an excellent baseball player. And that concept doesn't get translated all the time. Well, you're 3 for 10. You gotta literally get out or strike out 6 times out of the 10 times, and you're still great. I think that a lot of kids are missing those disciplined things, and when they get knocked down, we're seeing the younger generation not get back up. And I want them to learn those skills.
It's leadership and coaching, right? It starts when we're younger. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't play sports.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, driving force whenever I was 5 years old, showing me that I was worth it and I could do it and I was good at it. And, that changed me, I think. And not everybody plays sports, but even if it's like, kicking the soccer ball around the neighborhood, like I never played organized basketball, but I played basketball at White City basketball courts every night for, I'd come and it was street ball. Got kids were older than me. I got my tooth put through my lip, getting elbowed. But like, that was, part of growing up, man. And like I tell my son, man, I'm like, dude, go outside. He plays sports too, but it's, I think sports is a big deal, and I think it's a great direction to go, and definitely we'll put some information in the bio to get involved with that.
Appreciate it.
So going back to, obviously you touched on your adversity, you touched on all that. What is it? Would you say that what part of your life is it where you started implementing the discipline? Because you talked about it being younger, you talked about like. Putting your feet on the floor, jumping right out of bed. Like obviously you've learned that later in life, but what do you think it was your driving force earlier in life?
So, I mean, it really didn't happen until I was like 18, 19 years old. I kind of just went with the flow and different things. And I didn't really have, I think like self-discipline. I think this is the biggest thing that a lot of people lack is self-discipline. When I started to get into entrepreneurship, I told you I got into videography first, and it was funny. Like I was trying to figure out some ways to make money. And at the time, my uncle was a realtor, and he was like, hey, he was telling me about these helicopters go around and they take photos of houses. And I
drones.
Was like, this is before the drones.
Okay.
And I was like, why don't I buy a drone? No one bought it back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, if I got this, would I make money? He goes, well, I pay $500 right now for 3 photos of my property. Like, what would you charge?
From a helicopter, yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't know, like $100. So I started to do it, and I was making a little bit of money. All of a sudden, I was making like $3,000 a month, and it was taking me 10 minutes.
Wow.
I was like, I love entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I started to create some discipline, started getting into some other things, learning different skill set, getting into video editing. But I think the main thing is when I started to get into network marketing and I started to build sales teams, and I had about 100 people on my team. Actually, my friend got me into network marketing. He's actually local. His name's Anthony. Shout out to him. He introduced me to it. And I was actually his videographer. And I was like, how do I get into what you do?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. Playing the mind games, but it worked. I was like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
So my first week, I got a lot of people on, but I started to have older people ask me for advice. I'm like 20, 21. And I'm like, you're asking me for advice? Well, I mean, I looked at myself and I'm like, I wouldn't take advice from me. Maybe I should develop some
just
skills.
How you carried yourself and how you articulated,
Yeah. I heard this thing by Ed Millett. People don't buy things, from a company. They buy things from you. And the biggest thing he always says is people don't care if they believe in the product. They care if you believe in the product.
Okay.
And I've always took that concept and I've grown with it. And I love Ed Millett. He's a very, Christian-focused, motivational speaker. He learned from Tony Robbins. He's probably one of my favorite speakers of all time. He's actually changed my life in many different ways, helped me, really understand purpose in life too. But learning those disciplines and figuring out where other people are relying on you, you got to step it up. And I think a lot of people don't have people relying on them yet. And that's what kind of delays the process. There's people that are 16, 17 years old, like my wife. She was 11 years old, taking care of her niece and nephew.
Yeah.
They were like 1 or 2.
Responsibility. I was just going to say that. I mean, once you develop a responsibility where you have like a whole sales team or you're taking care of your younger siblings or whatever it is, like when you have that, you're like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
That part where like you get to be normal and like just not care about anything is out whenever you have that responsibility.
Yeah. So, I mean, she got in at a younger age. She started her own business, 17, 18 years old. She opened her own shop. So she got in a lot younger than me. But when I got into it, I was like, wow, like I got to develop my skill set. And I had people fall off my sales team that were 30, 40 years old because I didn't develop the right things. Once I developed the skill sets of like, hey, this is what people need, and you got to give people guidance.
Yeah.
And they got to be able to come to you for anything they need. And people come to me for their problems, like talking to their spouse or they don't want to work, they don't want to make money, and you have to lead them by example. I mean, I feel like I was a natural born leader. People said it all the time, but I didn't know the direction of leading people. And when you have a purpose and you have an understanding, then you can start to develop a lot more in life. So that's kind of where it all came about.
Okay. So yeah, you said something pretty important there was purpose. What is your purpose?
My purpose is, I think it's a two-part thing in a sense, because I feel like my purpose would be giving back. That's where I get the most fulfillment in life.
Service.
Yes, is be a servant leader. I think that's number one.
To others.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
It gives me the best joy in my life. I like doing things for other people. And then the next thing is just, I would say, creating belief. I think that's that's my biggest thing is, people seeing the best version of themselves. I think one of the greatest fulfillments is when you can expand somebody's mindset of where they're at and expand the lid. Because I felt like my lid was so closed for so long. But the number one advice I would give is just surround yourself with people that have extended belief systems. Once you're able to fully understand that,
it's true, man. If somebody said that to me the other day, or I saw it somewhere, it was like, if people don't think you're crazy for the stuff that you do, then you're not doing it right. Mm-hmm. And because like even for me, like just the studio, like people thought I was crazy, but it's like, listen, I'm focused. I have this vision. I have this goal. Like God's pushing me with both hands, and it's like, just do it. And like you said, creating belief. You get to a certain point where I joke with my son all the time. He's like, Dad, when am I ever going to use algebra? Like I use algebra every single day. It's problem solving. I get paid to solve problems. I solve problems at home. My wife calls me, the pipe's broken. What do I got to do? I got to figure out how to fix the pipe that's broken, so water's not leaking no more.
Yeah.
So. We create this, and you get to that point, like, and then you realize it about yourself. I'm like, man, I developed this skill, right, to teach or be a leader. And then when you're able to start developing other leaders, and you see them doing it, you're like, man, God gave me this gift. I got to keep going.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that's more fulfilling than seeing like somebody be the best version of themselves, but not because I did it, because God brought that person into my life. It was more of a team effort. It's fulfilling. It's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially a lot of people reaching out, for guidance in certain aspects. Like I have a friend right now that obviously going through a tough situation, and you get those feelings all the time. It's just like when to bring up, a situation, or when do you say, hey, you should pray about this. And I had people all the time, like, hey, it was a perfect time for me to do that. And, it's some reconnecting points.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're not through, some trauma, then you're not able to kind of relate in certain different ways. Like I can tell right off rip if anybody's lost a family member, because, you know that look in their eyes and how they feel and how they move. It's a different feeling,
I think everybody has.
Yeah.
Because somebody, death unfortunately is a part of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But what would Nick now say to Nick 10 years ago? What would be the one thing you'd want to say to him?
Yeah, what I would say would be this experience more diversity, try more things. I think I was very closed-minded back then. I was just like, I just want to do the same couple things. I'm still like that in some ways, but I think I always knew that, I had a bigger purpose, but I didn't really know the direction of it. And I would tell myself, everything works out. Okay. Everything does work out. Everything can work out. And I think you would probably have some similar conversations, with yourself too, when you were young, because I know your stories are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to go listen to his full story in depth, because it is a remarkable story. The people get put in a corner and you choose whether, you succeed or you fall.
Yeah. I think that's just because I think everybody goes through something adverse in their life, no matter what it is, whether it's losing a loved one, whether it's, my son told me that recently, he's like, I just want to live a normal life. Well, me and his mom aren't together. he was adopted by his grandma at a young age because me and his mom couldn't be parents like we were supposed to. And like, I'm like, son, I hate to break it to you, but unfortunately normal went out the window a long time ago. And realistically, what is normal, right? And, he's at that age now where he's, I can talk to him.
Yeah.
15, he's understanding. He's, we can have like real conversations and like, I apologized, told him where I was at. And like, I just want to see him be the best version of himself. And, I think that takes us real quick into to legacy. What type of impact do you want to leave on this earth?
Yeah. I want to leave an impact that, is expanded. Obviously, no matter what happens in life, whether I have a long life or a short life, I want, my family to have a legacy, and I want my family to know, like I did everything that I possibly can for them. I think that's the most important thing to me. I think it kind of changes for a kid and after a kid.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
True.
my goal is to leave my intentions on my kids and have a good perspective on my family. So I think that's the most important thing to me. If
that is our legacy. The number one is our seed. Right.
I don't care if I'm famous or people remember this and that. I just want my family to say, to their kids, how much that I did everything I possibly can.
I heard something recently that I think resonated with me because, I do push that a lot, and I say that a lot is like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave? And I talk about like Charlie Kirk and leaving, lots of tidbits of information on the internet, social media. Like this guy's got, tons of recorded history of himself. So his kids will get to see that. But there's, I don't know. There's just a driving force in my heart to be to have a good life, right? It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to remember how much money you had. Nobody's going to, maybe 2 generations from now, my great grandkids might forget about me. But the fact that I could have a good life while I was on this earth, and spread love and be able to serve others, I think is more important than who's going to worry about me or be at my funeral or 2 generations down the road. Because realistically, the only person that left a legacy like that was Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's the only true Christian or who lived the perfect life. So, awesome conversation. I don't want to keep going too much, but do you have anything else to say to the folks?
No, I think that we covered a lot of different things in here. The last question that I would pretty much have for your viewers is, what would you recommend to them, when they do have diversity come in their life?
I think like you said, and I think that, I will definitely keep encouraging you to, like I said, come to that Monday night Bible study, is to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, people who have the same vision, the same journey that you're on. You see, look at kids, right, that they're watching TV. They want to be like, if their favorite baseball player, they want to be like their favorite soccer player, like, because they look up to that person. So, be the person that others can look up to, but, realistically, because, they realize that Ronaldo hits his wife on, he doesn't, but, and he's not the greatest guy you ever thought he was, you know what I mean? So yeah. I think being that authentic person all the time, no matter what, like a lot of folks have said that to me. They're like, dude, you're actually doing it. There's not like, it's not fake. So being that person is because of who I surrounded myself with. You know what I mean? I wanted to be a kingdom leader in my household. So I surrounded myself with other men that are doing that. You talked about prayer. I'm not perfect at it, but I'll be sitting at the kitchen table and be like, let's pray. If I don't do it, who's going to do it? Right.
Yeah, I know.
I have to take control of my household and be like, and my wife's sad because something's going on, honey. Let's pray. Middle of the bedroom, no matter what's going on.
I love that.
And something really powerful that I learned through going to a men's group was praying with your wife on a regular basis. Like a lot of people start off like the 21 days of the year praying. You don't have to wait till January 1st to do that. You can say, hey, honey, we're starting today and we're going to pray every night for 21 days. Me and my wife did that. We sat on our bedroom floors our floor in our bedroom, turned Christian music on and prayed next to each other, for 21 days straight every single night. And it was the most powerful experience. And it actually brings me back to like, maybe I'm going to do it again because it's been a while. Yeah. But, you don't have to wait for those New Year's resolution. You can do it anytime. Yeah. So, yeah, I appreciate having you on, man. Definitely an awesome message. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So we're going to definitely leave the link in the bio for his ministry or foundation. And, yeah, thanks for watching, guys.